Hello there, dear viewer. I have some very exciting news for you today about the forthcoming release of The Searchers on 4K for the very first time, coming from Warner Archive. I was fortunate enough to be invited onto a call with the restoration team of The Searchers on 4K, as well as the Warner Archive team, to hear more about this restoration and this release and ask some questions as well. So I'm going to share all of the information that I found out about this release with you. It's all very positive stuff, so I'm very excited for this release. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm also going to talk about some recent Warner Archive Blu-ray releases that I have been loving. I've got a big stack of them here actually, so I'm going to talk about some of these after The Searchers. So in case you missed the news originally, The Searchers is getting a 4K release from Warner Archive, coming out on December 17th in the United States. And this is going to be a huge release for a number of reasons. First of all, the film itself is one of John Ford's masterpieces, a hugely influential film on many of your favourite filmmakers, most likely. And it's personally one of my favourite American westerns. I think it absolutely stands up today, and I cannot wait to revisit it on this new restoration, because the 4K restoration has been shown at some film festivals this year already, and from what people have told me who were in attendance, they all said that this new version is stunning. And this is going to be Warner Archive's first 4K UHD release, so this is a momentous occasion. And on the call with the Warner Archive team, they mentioned that 4K releases are not going to be like a monthly thing. They will be more infrequent. They said that they want these 4K releases to feel special, and for the films and the restorations to justify getting a 4K UHD disc, because the production costs are about 4 times as much as a standard Blu-ray. So it really has to be financially viable, as well as having the appropriate materials to make a great 4K disc. So what I'm trying to say is, if you love The Searchers and if you love classic Hollywood cinema and westerns, and this 4K disc turns out to be a great one, then I would certainly go out and purchase it, support Warner Archive, because future 4K releases from them could very much depend on the success of this initial release. So what did the restoration team say about this 4K restoration? Well, it all sounded incredibly positive from me. They talked about the initial process of scanning The Searchers on 4K and what they found, some of the challenges. The initial challenge was to do with some of the original film materials having faded. Now, The Searchers was shot on VistaVision in Technicolor, meaning that those initial film materials were separated by red, green and blue. So instead of having one strip of film, there were multiple strips which, when overlaid, would create the final Technicolor image. And it appeared that the blue layer of film had significantly faded. The dye that's present in the film had deteriorated, faded, and a lot of the information had been lost. So on its own, that would not be good enough to do a new 4K scan. But what they did have access to were some other materials that could be used in place of the blue layer negative. They explained that there were black and white copies of the negative for each separate color layer. So they could use the black and white blue layer to take that and put it back into the film. Obviously, personally, I have no idea how any of that process works, so I hope I'm relaying it back to you in an appropriate way, but sorry, it's not the most academic. But the team explained that this is the best the film has ever looked. The 4K scan allowed them to get so much more detail out of the original film materials. And they also noted that this fixes some of the issues that were present in the older presentation of The Searchers on the Blu-ray from over a decade ago. There were some complaints back then that the colours in that version were not correct, and some of the skies looked yellow rather than being the appropriate blue colours that they should have been. So it fixes all of the issues from the older Blu-ray. And the team also explained that they are very keen on keeping mono audio tracks available when they release these older films. So the 4K version will have the original mono audio, as well as having whatever new track is included. And in terms of the technical specs of the 4K disc, it's going to be a 100 gig triple layer 4K disc, which is basically the best option that is available. And the disc is going to be authored by David Mackenzie at Fidelity in Motion, who is known as the best at mastering and authoring Blu-ray and 4K discs, meaning that it's very, very unlikely we will see any negative issues in the image in terms of compression, macro blocking, etc. So that is music to my ears. And then further, they talked a bit about the special features that are going to be included in this release. They will be on the included Blu-ray. So the 4K disc is just going to be the film itself, no special features. On the Blu-ray, you will have the film again in HD, but from this new 4K restoration. And then you have over 2 hours of special features. Many of these have been compiled from previous standard definition releases of the film. So I think it's going back to the VHS release from the 90s, which had a load of special features which are stuck in standard definition because that's how they were filmed. Well, they have brought these up. They've used some techniques to modernize the special features to make them more watchable on our new 4K televisions without them looking horrible. So that sounds great to me, because if they're stuck in standard definition, there's not too much you can do. And I don't think I've seen any of those special features before. So I'm personally very excited to experience those. So that is all of the information that I have to report to you about the searches on 4K, which I gathered from this call with the Warner team. I am so excited for this release. It's coming out in a few weeks, and I think all signs point to this being an excellent presentation of the film. So I will be reviewing the disc at some point in the near future, so please do keep an eye out on the channel for that. In the meantime, I have some recent Warner Archive collection Blu-ray titles to talk about and recommend to you. There's a big stack here in front of me, so let's see what we've got. First up, let's talk about Conflict. This is a fantastic film starring Humphrey Bogart, Alexis Smith and Sidney Greenstreet. This is a film I hadn't seen before, and it absolutely blew me away. It has a very evil Humphrey Bogart who conspires to kill his wife because he is in love with her sister, and he pulls off the perfect crime. He kills her, but then things start happening that makes him second guess, did he actually kill her, or is she alive and out to get him? This turns into a great cat and mouse as the police are onto him and asking him questions about what happened to his wife, and it's just perfect. I thought this film was absolutely incredible. Conflict will go down as one of my favourite first-time watches of 2024. So I do thank the Warner team for bringing this film to this great disc. You get some special features on the disc. There's a few classic Warner cartoons, and then there is a radio broadcast of Conflict with Humphrey Bogart. Then I want to talk about this film, A Prairie Home Companion. This film has been missing on Blu-ray for quite a long time, and the film was released in 2006, so it could have been an early contender for one of those initial Blu-ray releases, but it never happened, and the film never had much steam afterwards, and it is only now appearing on a Blu-ray, which is a damn shame because this is directed by none other than Robert Altman, the fantastic filmmaker. This was his final film, and in my opinion, I think this is an underrated late masterpiece from Altman. I think it has all of the hallmarks of some of his best works, such as Nashville. That's probably a good comparison to make with this, because you've got a strong cast of characters, a great ensemble. It's in an artistic setting, it's about radio and music, and there's humour here. And the characters are so great because the actors are allowed to play, and this sense of play really makes these characters believable in the most Altman-esque way. In many ways, it's quite a sad film because this is about the final broadcast of A Prairie Home Companion, which is this radio show, which is all about music and life. And with it being Altman's last film, there is a kind of poetry to this. And you could kind of maybe feel that Altman knew this was going to be the last film he ever made. In fact, Paul Thomas Anderson was on standby to be the director who would pick up this film if Altman had passed away or had been unable to direct during the production. The cast is absolutely fantastic. You've got Lily Tomlin and Meryl Streep as these two sisters who have been singing together for a very long time, as well as Meryl Streep's character's daughter, played by Lindsay Lohan. She's also fantastic in this film. You've got the singing cowboy duo of John C. Reilly and Woody Harrelson. You've got Kevin Kline, who's playing this kind of noir character who feels very much out of time. And there are plenty of more great performances from great actors in this film. I could talk about this film for a very long time, but I'll save that for another video. But please do seek this one out. I think it's a fantastic film. So happy that Warner have brought it to a Blu-ray finally. And like I said, I think it is a late Altman masterpiece. If you're a fan of classic Hollywood musicals, well, the Warner Archive collection is full of them. And it is absolutely great because I love a classic musical. This one is Three Little Words. It stars Fred Astaire and Vera Ellen, who give these amazing dancing sequences which you would come to expect from the likes of Fred Astaire. The film was shot in Technicolor, so all of those dancing sequences are beautiful. And perhaps the only thing that left me wanting more from the film itself is I wanted more dancing. I think Fred Astaire doesn't do as much dancing in this as I would actually want. I think it looks beautiful on the Warner Archive Blu-ray, so if you're a fan of those classic musicals, this is one to check out. Next we have Journey into Fear with Joseph Cotton and Orson Welles. Not directed by Orson Welles, it's directed by Norman Foster, but it comes from Welles's Mercury Productions. And I do think he probably had quite a lot of say into how this film was directed. Now, this one is far from perfect, and it has many flourishes of brilliance, but the film is quite a short one. It's 68 minutes long. I don't think it fully works. It doesn't tie everything together, but I think there are definitely things for film lovers to admire in this production, particularly if you like any of the people involved. I do want to shout out the cinematography from Carl Struess, who is a legend of black and white cinematography. So it's not the best Orson Welles film, but for fans like myself, it's so good to finally have this. I'd never seen it before. And on the Warner Archive disc, you do also get some Orson Welles radio broadcasts of Dracula, Treasure Island, and A Tale of Two Cities. We've also got I Remember Mama, starring the brilliant Irene Dunne, directed by George Stevens, one of the best American filmmakers of the period. You've got Barbara Bel Geddes in here as well. It's a charming film about this Norwegian family that emigrate to the United States and about how they come to get accustomed to living in the US. I think it's a brilliant film. It's definitely underrated in George Stevens' filmography. So to have it on a fantastic Blu-ray from Warner, it's just amazing. We have another musical in the form of Words and Music. Now, whereas Three Little Words was more of a dance-themed musical, this is more about the music and the songs themselves. And you have some very recognisable people here: Judy Garland, Gene Kelly, Mickey Rooney. And on watching this on the first time on the Warner Archive disc, the film looked beautiful and sounded beautiful, but the film hasn't shot to being one of my favourite musicals of the period. There are definitely sequences that I loved, but as a complete product, I don't know, the film just didn't quite hold everything together during the 2-hour runtime. But it's one that I'm definitely going to revisit because, like I said, moments of brilliance are enough for me to revisit a film like this one. Then we come to Black Belt Jones, which is so much fun, starring Jim Kelly from Enter the Dragon, directed by Robert Clouse, who also directed Enter the Dragon. This came a year after that film, and while not a huge success like Enter the Dragon was, this is still a very enjoyable film. And if you like Jim Kelly in Enter the Dragon, I feel like I've said that about 10 different times now, but if you liked him in that other film, then this is definitely one to explore. I also had a great time with Bathing Beauty, which is another Technicolor musical. I can't get enough of them. This one also stars Red Skelton, like Three Little Words. So there's a connection here, and there are some dazzling sequences in this film, just absolutely stunning. So I'm repeating myself at this point, but if you like these musicals from this period of Hollywood's history in Technicolor, then this is one for you, and you'll know instantly if that is you or not. And then I'll just quickly talk about Boulevard Nights from 1979. This is an LA set gangster film where we look at some of the gang members who are essentially kids and some of the trouble that they get wrapped up in that can really cause tensions within a family. and it's something that they just cannot escape from, even if they want to. It's a film that at certain points really does push the melodrama, and it might be a bit too sickly for some people to take, but I think it was a very well told story and really gave me some insight into what went on in these gangs during the 1970s, and I'm sure continues to today. With this one, I would have loved to have seen some special features, maybe someone dissecting the Mexican-American lifestyle that's represented in this film, or someone kind of talking about this film from a modern perspective. But unfortunately, there's only a trailer on the disc. So hopefully I'll be able to talk to someone about this film, because there's a lot of discussions that could be had. So that's the video. I hope that got you inspired to go and seek out some Warner Archive titles, or hopefully it's got you excited for The Searchers on 4K, because this is an excellent time to be a film fan. And personally, I can't wait to see what Warner Archive bring out in 2025. Click the video that's on screen right now if you'd like some more reviews and recommendations from myself. I have plenty of videos on the channel, so do stick around and have a good look. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.